Chip stated I go by the name of Minister Slugger. My real name is George Strickland. Now, I always have to tell people how I got the name Slugger because when you meet me for the first time, it's like, what kind of name is Minister Slugger? Well, Slugger was a name that I was born with. My mother, from birth, gave me the name Slugger. And there was a infant clothing line back in the 70s, throughout the 80s, and I don't even know if they still exist, but it was a baby infant clothing line called Little Slugger Clothing. My mama, she liked the name Slugger. She had me a little baseball cap, and she said that name stuck with her, and that name stuck with me throughout my life. So even I was known throughout my neighborhood as Slugger. Even when I went to school, my teachers didn't refer to me as George, they referred to me as Slugger. So in 2003, when I answered my call into the ministry, that's where the minister came from. So Minister Slugger. And it's a name that I wear with pride because the name has meaning for me, and not just because my mother named me this name, but in addition to that, the name has purpose. Because anything that I do for God, I try to do it in excellence. When you think about a slugger, you think about, one who knocks it out of the park. And anything that I do, I try to put my best effort forward to knock it out of the park because it's not just myself and my family that I represent, but I also represent God. So it's stated a little bit about myself. I started out in the music industry. When I was in high school, I was a troubled teen. I dealt with depression, dealt with suicide attempts, dealt with things like, alcoholism, just didn't have any direction in life. And I got in one thing after another. And so I had my first child at the age of 17. And I had plans of going to the United States Navy. That was my plan after high school. But coming into my junior year of high school, I got into some trouble. I caught my first felony case at the age of 17 years old. And when I caught that felony case, that altered my plans of going into the military, because going into the military, you can't have a criminal record. And so I was lost. I was like, okay, what is my game plan now? What am I gonna do? I'll mess my life up. I got this criminal record now. I graduate, I'm going out trying to get local jobs, and because they knew what I did in the community, they wouldn't touch me with a 10-foot pole. So I ended up getting in a drug game. In addition to still messing with my music, I was producing beats, made a name for myself on the local hip-hop scene, started producing for some of the local rap groups in my area that were hot at that time, but a lot of the people that I surrounded myself with, they were in the drug game. And so I ended up falling into that. Did that for a little bit. And then little did I know that God had another purpose and a plan for my life. Because while I was still searching for myself and thinking that the wrong things were gonna lead me to success, although there wasn't nothing wrong with music, but how I was trying to achieve and get to the top was all wrong. And so what led up to me, my transformation, was I was producing with a lot of local rap groups out of Houston, Texas. I ended up hooking up with some guys out of the Screwed Up Clique. It was this DJ out of Houston by the name of DJ Screw that was well known. I didn't get a chance to meet him, but however, I did get a chance to work with some rap guys that were connected to him, and ended up producing on a project that was in dedication to DJ Screw after he died. There was a documentary that they did dedicated to the life of DJ Screw, and the executive producer of that project had approached me about doing 2 songs for the soundtrack to the documentary. So I ended up producing 2 songs on that soundtrack because I was working with an artist by the name of Lil Flip at that time, and it was some of his people that he was connected to that landed me that gig. And then after that, Lil Flip signed his first major deal with Sony Records, and I ended up producing a song on his first platinum and gold album. And so I'm like, okay, I finally got my footing. I'm on my way up. I know what it is that I want to do in life. I'll be a music producer. But now, mind you, I still got these other little things on the side that are going on. I started sipping codeine syrup, what we know as syrup. Got addicted to that, and ended up catching another felony case in Waller County. And it was when I caught that second felony case in Waller County, it made me wake up. That's when God got my attention. It was like, okay, it's time to do something different. Little did I know the developed in darkness that Chip was talking about, and this is how I wrote the book, Developed in Darkness, because little did I know that those bumps in the road and the darkness that I experienced in that period of my life was gonna lead and give birth to what I'm doing now. And so when I caught that second felony case, the light bulb went off and I had to make a change. And it had been prophesied to me before that God was calling me into the ministry. I fought with it. I fought with trying to, as you said, you know, my life was, the way that I had my life planned and mapped out was nothing ministry related. I knew about God, I knew of God, but I didn't, you know, I want to do this music. You know, I want to have the cars and the jewelry and the women and all of this kind of stuff, but God had another plan for my life, and so ultimately I ended up going in the direction that God was leading me to go. And so after I answered my calling into the ministry, I'm new to ministry. This is something that's new to me. Trying to you know, get my direction and footing established in ministry and who I am as a minister and all of that stuff. And so somewhere along there, I started a videography and photography company called Soul Fishing Media, and that was in 2005. And when I got started in the photography and videography business, it was intimidating because I come from a background of, you know, hustling, selling beats, and it was pretty lucrative for me. So now I'm in a situation to where I know what I want to do, but now how am I going to make money with it? And so the first thing that I want to talk about, when you're talking about being successful and what it means to be successful, you have to have direction. You have to have aim. You have to have your sight set on what it is that you know that you want to do. Once I established some direction and I knew what it was that I wanted to do, I went after it. I started studying videography. I started studying photography. And as she stated about having mentors, you know, people that you look up to, I started seeing other people who were doing what I was doing, and I started studying them. I started studying their work. I started sharpening my skills. So if you're going to be successful, you got to have direction. You got to have aim, because that's the foundation of success, knowing the direction that you want to go. Because you can be successful at doing the wrong thing. I was successful at doing the wrong thing. But when my direction and my sense of purpose shifted, my definition of what success was, it changed. And so here it is. I started off with a $500 investment in a little small Panasonic camera. That $500 investment would eventually lead to a $5,000 contract with my local school district, producing highlight films for my athletic department there in Marlin, Texas. And then, so from there, it just kept going up. And then around 2009, 2010, I went full-time ministry. Went full-time ministry for about 5 or 6 years. And then after that, got back into, in 2017, got back into contracting media services with local school districts. And my business hit a pinnacle that I always dreamed that it would hit. But it took, having direction, knowing which direction that I wanted to go, which required faith, direction from God, and then I had to sharpen my skills because I wanted to be good at what I did. Because when you're good at what you do, nobody can deny what you do. When you're good at what you do, nobody can deny what you do. There can be 100, 1,000, or 1,000,000 other people that do what you do, but when you do it how you do it, that's what sets you apart. Having your identity. Having identity is important. Knowing who you are, where you're going. And then I had to be consistent. And I had to be persistent. Because persistence is, despite of the setbacks and the challenges that you face, I'm going to push through. Because again, I started off with $500. I didn't have any contacts. I didn't have any connects. I'm steady looking at, man, I want these big cameras that I see the news people with. I was thinking at first that I need this. But no, God was developing me through the grit and the grind and the darkness by having little. I'm reminded of David and Goliath. David took a little rock in a slingshot and slayed a big giant. And so it was me learning how to work with the bare minimum that sharpened my skill. So if you're starting off with the bare minimum, you feel like, I need this, I need that. No, just work with what you got until you get what you need. Because it's in the bare minimum, it's in the grind and the grit that's going to sharpen who you are. So stay persistent, stay consistent, keep showing up, even when it's hard. As I look at successful people, the successful people I know, the ingredients that made them who they are, and this is not all of them, was having direction. They sharpened their skills. They were persistent, and they stayed consistent, and they eventually got to what it was that they were aiming for. And I pray that you guys will stay in the fight and know that you can achieve whatever it is that you need to achieve if you do those things. God bless you.